Glad you're here for this week's edition of our Clean Commercial Transportation Update. I'm Bill Van Amburg, and with my partner here, Alycia Gilde, will be your co-host for the webinar this week. This is our fourth edition of the Clean Commercial Vehicle Transportation Update, and we're really excited about the feedback that you've been giving us. Please keep it coming. We really appreciate your thoughts on what we should be covering, the topics of industry that are most meaningful to you, and it's all part of our trying to keep us all more connected than ever. Also, during the course of the webcast today, please use the chat function, use the question functions. We will try to respond as best we can. And that really keeps us connected as we're going through the webcast. We've got a packed agenda though, so let's get right to our rundown today. We'll go through some industry news. We've got some really good information on the Clean Transit Innovation Network that we have launched together with the FTA. I'm really excited about that. We'll get an update. We'll talk about coping with COVID-19 from a really innovative transit district here in Southern California. A new tool as you're looking for funding in this industry. It's called the Funding Finder. We'll walk you through that and then give you a sense of what's coming up next week. So lots to get to, but before we do, Alycia, as always, we like to get the feel for the attendees. What do you got today?
Great, thanks, Bill. Hi, everyone. Yes, so as we're experiencing throughout the U.S., states and counties are entering into different phases. Wanted to get your perspective on what does mass transit look like post-COVID-19? And yes, we understand that COVID-19 might be with us for quite some time, but it's important to think about how we are going to continue moving people. So Whitley, if you can bring up our poll for everyone. Here you are. All right, so what does mass transit look post-COVID-19? Are we thinking it's going to be back to normal? How about enforced spacing on buses and trains? Maybe the increased use of microtransit, increased use of bikes, e-bikes, and scooters, and then lastly, maybe increased use of ride sharing. Let us know what you think. We'll give it about 10-15 seconds, and then we'll show you the results.
You know, this is a topic we've been talking about every week since we started, and certainly as part of our bus and transit, innovative transit group, it's something we're really trying to keep our finger on the pulse of, and it's unclear where things are going yet.
It's true. All right, Whitley, let's see those results. All right, it looks like enforced spacing on buses and trains seems to be the popular choice, followed by possibly increased use of bikes and e-bikes. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Bill, I'll turn it back to you for industry updates.
Great, and this really does tee up some of what we'll be talking on a little bit later throughout our webcast today. But let's get to the updates and news of the week. First of all, kind of a sad news for all of us who are familiar with this team. Mitsubishi Fuso is actually leaving the North American market for building trucks. Now, this is something that's sad to us because they actually were a manufacturer of one of the first serially produced electric trucks in the world just a couple of years ago, the e-Canter. They're moving completely out of Canada and the United States with their products. They will, however, continue to sell the e-Canter and all of their other truck products in Asia and Europe, but just no longer in the United States. We reached out to Mitsubishi Fuso, and they did confirm that people who have bought products, including the e-Canter, will continue to get them serviced with a full service network here. We are seeing, though, that there's a tremendous growth in a variety of fleets who are looking for those electric products. Major grocery retailer in Norway, which has been a leader in electric transportation already, ASKO, is going fully electric and plans to have 600 electric trucks delivering all their produce by 2026. They're using some Scania trucks right now. And ABB is their preferred partner who is going to be putting in all of the high rate charging infrastructure for those trucks. They've also bought some Tesla semis in addition to more Scanias that they're going to be buying over the next few years. We're also seeing some breakthroughs going on when it comes to low NOx technology for combustion engines. We're going to be needing combustion engines for a lot of duty cycles for some time to come. And engineers at Southwest Research, who've been working with the California Air Resources Board, feel that they have actually developed a framework for after treatment and for some changes in the engine that would allow diesel engines to cost effectively hit 90% below EPA 2010 levels. as well as improve their fuel efficiency. So this is a big breakthrough. They're validating the engine and the findings over the course of this summer, but a real salient position for urban regions who are looking for what other options they have in addition to electrification to drive down NOx. We're also seeing that pollution has been affected by COVID. We've been reporting on this, and the European Space Agency, which has a Copernicus Sentinel satellite up over Europe and China, has actually been measuring really significant reductions short-term in nitrogen oxide emissions coming out. This is both from their industrial sector, but really from their transportation sector. So they are seeing that these reductions are possible. It's just another one of those signals of what could be possible if we get a handle on our transportation emissions over the next 10 years. Interestingly, here in the United States, what we've been facing is people are really angry, and 23 states, almost half the states in the union, have filed a lawsuit against our own federal government because it has deeply weakened the tailpipe standards, the CAFE standards for cars in the United States, cutting by about 2/3 what they plan to do with that standard over the next 5 years. So this is, California has been involved in it, but as you can see, 22 other states and the District of Columbia involved in it, as well as 4 automakers who've said that they would support stronger standards as well: Honda, VW, BMW, and Ford Motor Company. Different story though in Europe. As we're looking at trends around the world, France has just announced a major investment, not just into their auto industry, but into the electric car industry in France. They're going to be putting $8.8 billion US into that industry for increased incentives for the purchase of electric vehicles and additional dollars actually for charging infrastructure and a major network expansion across that nation, and in more battery production facilities. And a new report that just came out of another partner organization we work with in Europe, Transport and the Environment, actually is showing that the European Union has been a significant investor in this green tech space. They have been putting a lot of money into e-cars and batteries. In fact, over the last 3 or 4 years, they've been out investing China in this space. So very, very different approaches to what the future looks like and where some of these regions want to be dominant players. Interesting to look at. Finally, in the apropos of a lot of what we've been talking about, as people are reimagining coming out of COVID and what new opportunities emerge, the city of Seattle is doing something really interesting with Stay Healthy Streets. They're actually going to be closing off 20 miles of their streets to car traffic and opening them more up to pedestrians, to biking, and other ways of getting around. A really interesting approach that is apropos for our topic today on transit innovation. So with that, Alycia, I think you've got a good setup leading into Jared on our next topic.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Bill. Wonderful overview, and thanks for those good updates. Yes, I'm really excited to introduce our next speaker, and our topic, our very own Jared Schneider with CALSTART, is going to talk about a great innovative clearinghouse that provides important information and tools to transit agencies, policymakers, and governments on how to successfully deploy zero-emission buses. So Jared, if you can give us a quick overview of this great clearinghouse, we would really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thank you very much, Alycia. Bill, excellent job as always on the updates. So everyone, we want to draw your attention to this website that we've developed. It's a Clean Transit Innovation Network. This is a CALSTART project. We received funding from the FTA in 2019 under the Transit Vehicle Innovation Deployment Centers, TVIDC. And we were paid to put together this clearinghouse. And so again, my name is Jared Schneider. I'm a program manager. I am in the Florida office for CALSTART and working on transit properties across the country. So if you could go to the next slide, please, Casey. Here's the website address. So that's what we're going to be basing this whole discussion off of, is the Clean Transit Network, cleantransitnetwork.org. Next slide. So to give you guys an overview of what's in the website, we have tools and resources, and there are a number of different tools and resources on this page. I want to draw your attention to two of them specifically, one being the Zero Emission Technology Inventory, also known as ZETI, and the Total Cost of Ownership Estimator that are both linked on this site. So this is the ZETI tool. If you've listened to some of the updates in the previous weeks, I believe we went over this, and this is for bus and truck, and it's a global resource for zero emission vehicle availability. And so this is available on there. So if you get on the website, and you can see down below, it's on our Global Drive to Zero program as well. So there are numerous ways to link into this site. Next slide, please. This is our total cost of ownership estimator that's also linked from the website as well. We manage this for HVIP and developed this tool. And so this is a national tool that's used for estimating the cost of ownership for trucks and buses. Next slide, please. I'm trying to get through these as quickly as I can here. I know, we only have a little bit of time. So another part of this, and this is great for information if you're trying to find just more information about zero emission vehicles and just clean transportation vehicles. This part, the Research Depot, has all kinds of white papers, research papers, summary reports. You can see the Simplifying Zero Emission Transit Bus Procurement. I highly recommend it. It's riveting because I wrote it. But no, it's there's a lot of great tools on there. Next slide, please. And then we also have a link to some of the clean bus working groups that we manage across the country. So we have one for LA County, for the San Joaquin Valley in California. We have one in the Northeast. We have the Florida Alt Fuel Disaster Mitigation Action Group for transit agencies in Florida. We have a Midwest Zero Emission Bus Working Group, and our KTUF working group is all dedicated to autonomous vehicle development. Next slide, please. And this is the next part, I guess, last part I really wanted to draw everyone's attention to. I'm assuming you're probably like me, where you get up in the morning and you probably looked at LinkedIn and you see what's going on in the industry and getting different news, and you're picking up things here and there. Everything is all in one place on this website. It makes it so much easier. All the news is pulled in daily from around the country and really from around the world on zero emission vehicles, on all the updates that you need to get to stay informed along the way. And next slide, please. Again, here is the website. I recommend you bookmark it if possible. Bring that up in the morning. It's a good way to really get your day started, looking over what new information is out there, so that you're informed, you're up to date on everything that you're going to be going into for the rest of the day. So with that, I believe I'm going to turn it back over to Alycia with about 30 seconds to spare.
Oh, you did an awesome job. Thank you so much, Jared. And just want to make sure that you all know that we are going to be posting a recording of our update on our landing page, as well as you'll be able to check it out on LinkedIn, because that's where I'll be putting it. But if we can go ahead, Casey, if you don't mind putting that website into the chat so that everybody can have access to that, that would be wonderful. All right, well, thank you so much, Jared. Next up, I'm really excited. We have a very special guest with us and a friend that has been very active in the clean transportation community and someone we can always call on when we want to get a transit perspective. Diana Kotler, Executive Director of the Anaheim Resort Transportation, is joining us to share with us her perspective of coping with COVID-19. And what has your transit agency gone through during this time? What are the impacts that you're experiencing? And then would love to hear from you. What are some changes that your organization is putting in place as we're transitioning, as we're starting to get more active back into society? Would really love to hear your perspective, Diana. Again, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Alycia. And I'm going to close my door because there's hallway, which is actually a good thing to have a problem, so people are coming back. But to answer your question, you know, as a major tourism and convention destination and a sports teams destination for Orange County and California, the impacts of COVID-19 have been pretty difficult on us. And as a result, we had to suspend 95% of our operations, obviously furloughs of staff and so forth. But looking at it through the silver lining, as we all have to, we transition our operations to that to support of our community. We are working with Family YMCA to provide school lunch programs. We're working with our senior communities to make sure that we provide those necessary functions to our most impacted and most vulnerable communities. Last week, we actually restarted our microtransit service, and it was known as free rides around the neighborhood, and now it's a food run around the neighborhood. So Fran is back in service and providing those functionalities. So I think with some ingenuity and some, just the grassroots desire to support our communities, we're continuing to provide those services. Our community as a whole has been extremely supportive in those functions and understanding that transit we may not be running buses, but we are for our typical operations, but we in many cases are the lifeblood and the glue that ties the community together. So that's what we're currently doing. And I'm sorry, you asked me the second question, but I already forgot. So if you could.
That's okay. Oh no, you're wonderful. And Diana, thank you so much for the great work that you all are doing for the community and for providing food services and providing micro-transit opportunities. That's really, really important, and really appreciate what you're doing there. Wanted to get a sense from you, as things kind of come back to normal, what does that new normal look like for ART?
Well, for us, it will be a number of things. We're working on the reopening plan, and honestly, I don't know what's going to look like. We anticipate that for us, it's going to be sometime in August. Okay. We will depend on how many hospitality properties are open, if we're allowed to have fans at our facilities, and how we're going to be structuring that service. We're looking definitely at demand responsive operations, because I just don't know how, and I don't think anybody can answer those questions, how you introduce fixed route services at the same level that you had before. But also as a community, and I might recommend that to others who are in the same predicament we are, we're looking at the international certification program. It's called GBAC. And we, as an entire community, we're going through that certification process. It is primarily done for the convention centers, and all convention centers throughout the state of California signed on to that program. Hyatt nationwide signed on to that program. And that's primarily a training opportunity for those in the high contact industries to assure the public that we're doing the right things to provide for their safety and security. So we will be beginning that process next week.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Diana. So my last question for you is, you've really been a champion and a leader. We've always appreciated you speaking at various events and symposiums, talking about what you're doing to advance your zero emission bus goals. Wanted to get your thoughts on what that looks like now. And are you going to be able to maintain the momentum that you've started?
Well, absolutely. We are not slowing down in that capacity at all. We were planning to have a groundbreaking ceremony when a stay-at-home order was released literally that Friday. But our facility is moving on target. As far as the construction of the facility is concerned, there might be some delays, but there will be no more than 90 to 120-day delay, mainly because of the permitting processes and the fact that City Hall is closed. So some of those administrative functions have been delayed, but the construction is considered an essential function. From a standpoint of the delivery of our 40 buses, 2 have been delivered. The first test units, we have received them. And we are actually using those units for our food delivery. We feel that zero emission is important, and we need to keep that across. And today we're interviewing our energy partner. So our PPA for energy storage solutions, solar installations is moving forward as scheduled. We will have delays in the delivery of our articulated buses. So we do not know the date for that yet. The BYD facility in Lancaster was supposed to open on May 15th. I believe it's now opening June 1st. So that we will be experiencing some delays there, but outside of those minor inconveniences, we're moving forward with our Electrify Anaheim program.
Diana, you're terrific. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for what you're doing for communities and continuing to maintain momentum and using those zero emission buses. That's fantastic. We really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to participate. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Bill, I turn it back over to you, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. And it was so great to hear from Diana, and it was great that you were able to bring her on as she works in her building with a number of people who are there, but working in and around this COVID situation as we all try to recover. You know, separate from COVID and just all the time, all of us, and certainly our industry partners are always looking for, how do I make my project move forward? Where can I find the resources? And particularly, where can I find the funding? At least for the state of California, we've got a new approach to this that's actually pretty exciting. One of our project managers has pulled together what we call the Funding Finder tool. He's done a great job with the team to do this. Campbell Scott is joining us now. And Campbell, why don't you walk us through this? Because this has been the perennial issue for people, is trying to find the funding they need to do the deployments they want to do.
Great. Thank you very much for that introduction, Bill. I appreciate it. So as you mentioned, my name is Campbell Scott, and I'm a project manager at CALSTART. I was first responsible for developing the Funding Finder tool. So as Bill kind of mentioned, you know, a lot of people in the industry were very anxious to really understand the landscape of funding out there in terms of medium and heavy duty alternative fuel vehicles and infrastructure. And so to kind of meet that need, CALSTART wanted to, you know, house all of these different funding programs on one website for easy reference comparison. So that's exactly what the Funding Finder tool is. It's a website that contains all these funding programs, but even further than that, we wanted to add some functionality that would really help people narrow down the programs most relevant to them. So in order to do this, we have some filtering functionality that allows people to select various filters to make sure that the programs appearing on the website are the most relevant to them. Finally, we wanted to make sure that our website also provided resources so that stakeholders could learn more about the programs. This is information like person of contact for the funding program and also a web page. So again, just to kind of go over some of the features and functionality of the Funding Finder tool, we give our stakeholders the ability to filter results. So this allows stakeholders to go through and look at zip code, technology or fuel type, vehicle type, whether there's a requirement for private or public fleets, any scrappage requirements, any known HFIT stackability, which just means if in the past it's stacked with our HFIT funding program. We also have a Contact Us link, which allows you to email me directly in case you have any corrections, any programs you want to add, anything like that. It allows you a direct channel to contact me. And finally, we have a print results feature, which allows you to easily print all the different programs so you can compare them on a physical sheet of paper if that's your desire. So here you'll see kind of a big list, and I just wanted to flash this. I'm not going to go through and read all these different bullets, but I just wanted to give everyone an idea of all the information we've kind of gathered from these different agencies in order to easily compare these different programs. So we have things like the organization who's doing the funding, name of the program, how much funding is available, eligibility, and again, that contact information and the website for information. So just kind of wanted to show you the wide array of information. Here you'll see a website layout. So this is just a screenshot. I really encourage you to go to the website and actually click around and see the different functionality and the different programs. But I thought I would just do a screenshot just to show you kind of where things are on the website. So if you look at that top blue panel, oh sorry, could you go back to the previous page? So if you look at the top panel, we have a little description of the tool and some instructions. If you see under the search for funds section, you'll see that's kind of where you do the filtering. So I've expanded the technology section to show you, how the drop down works and how you can click different boxes to filter the programs that are relevant to what you're searching for. If you look to the right, you'll see kind of that big box, and that box is one of our baseball cards, as we call them. So on the website, we have different cards that kind of show you all the information in a way that's easy to compare against the different programs. So right now I just have one box up, and this is for the truck replacement program as part of San Joaquin Valley's air pollution. So you can see there's some information there that would be pertinent if you're looking for funding, right? It's going to tell you the name of the program, a little description, eligibility, and some other stats just to make sure that the program matches you and the search and the funding that you need for your programs. And of course, we'll also have the contact information, so you can contact a program manager more directly for more questions, and a website. So this is really supposed to be a launch pad, so you can kind of see all these different programs, but then also have the resource and ability to look for more information on your own. Next slide, please. As an added bonus, we also have a planning grants page. So if you look at the top right-hand corner of the screen, it kind of has a little tab that allows you to toggle between these two different pages. And we're still in the development of our planning grants page, but it is up there right now as a listing page. So we don't have functionality yet in terms of search capabilities, but it is a listing of the planning grants in the space of medium and heavy duty alternative vehicle planning grants. And so this is kind of a good opportunity to see what sources are out there for funding in this area. So just kind of as an added bonus, another resource that we have on the page for you guys to check out. Next slide, please. So that was a really brief overview of the tool. Again, I really encourage everybody to go through and to look at the tool themselves and to click around. Maybe you'll find new programs you weren't aware of or learn more about some of the programs you were familiar with. So please check it out when you get a chance. You can find it on the HVIP website, which we have linked here, and we'll provide a link in the chat as well. But if you go to the HVIP homepage, you just click the resources tab, as you can see by the red arrow facing down, and then you click on that first tab that says Funding Finder Tool. So when you go there, you'll be able to access the tool, and you'll also have a video link that describes how to use the tool further. But of course, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is there, cscott@calstar.org. I'd be happy to clarify anything about the Funding Finder tool or even provide a more detailed demonstration one-on-one. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me at CalSTART, at cscott@calstar.org.
Campbell's, thank you so much. Great job. And we're getting a lot of questions from folks on this. We're answering some of them online. One of them is we did send out the link in the chat box. But one of the big questions is, do we plan to bring this to a national stage? I'm not going to commit, Campbell, to that yet, but we would love to get your feedback. If this is something you would like to see us try to do on a national basis, please let us know. For now, it's focused on California resources because that was our starting point with HVIP, but please give us your feedback. All right, I think we have time for a quick poll before we leave, Alycia. I think we wanted to get people's feedback on where funding should be prioritized.
Yes, thank you, Bill, and great job, Campbell. So yes, Whitley, if you can bring that up. You heard from our industry update earlier how the European countries are committing to some huge green recovery funds. Would love to hear your feedback. How should we prioritize our investments to recover from COVID? First option here, focus only on immediate job loss. Second, focus on both job loss and invest in clean tech, transport industry jobs and industry. And then lastly, double down on building for the future. Prioritize investments in clean tech, transport jobs, industry as a recovery strategy. So what do you think? We'll give it about 10 seconds and then we'll pull up the results.
I think this has been one of the topics of the day, and there's a lot of debate going on, certainly not just in Congress, but in California's legislature about how to address this.
All right, so I'm liking everybody's, or the majority of the response here is doubling down on building for the future. Prioritize investments in clean tech, transport jobs, industry as a recovery strategy. Great, thank you so much, everyone.
And we would have hoped that this, these attendees in this audience would have thought that, but that's really interesting and great feedback. All right, so we're coming to the close of our webcast. It goes so quickly every week, but we really appreciate the interaction, and we're getting a lot of feedback on trying to make the Funding Finder a national tool. We will consider it. We will look to see how to do that with your partnership. So upcoming webinars, we just want to let you know about. We've got the Zero Emission Technology Inventory Deep Dive. That's the ZETI tool that lists all the zero emission vehicles around the world. There'll be an update on that on June 3rd. Please join. There's a really interesting creating a supply chain webinar for battery materials, really looking at secondary life for lithium ion. That's coming up on June 11th. We also have an HTUF webinar series that will start on Thursdays on June 18th. With a lot of good topics on a lot of very salient issues. And then a webinar on electric shuttle tips for infrastructure and deployment. That is going to be a really good one. Next week on our webcast, we'll have an update on a great report that Alycia and team have really been leading on a West Coast clean corridor study, looking at where infrastructure is needed and where it should go on the West Coast. We'll also have updates on policy from Sacramento and DC, and of course, industry updates. But for now, thanks for joining us. For all of us at the HVIP and the Clean Commercial Transportation team here at CalSTART, I'm Bill Van Amburg, along with Alycia Gilde. We really appreciate your feedback, your involvement, and your time. So really stay safe, stay healthy, and stay more connected than ever. Thanks, and goodbye for now.